Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Secretary, thank you for being here today. I've written you several times over the last few months, not just in my capacity as a member of the House Education Committee, but as chairman of the House Oversight Committee. And I'm glad to have the opportunity to discuss some of these issues with you today. My most recent correspondence was in conjunction with Chairwoman Fox. In that letter, we requested additional information regarding the department's plan to allow borrowers to self-certify their income for eligibility for income-driven repayment plans. The department announced these changes on January 10th of this year and has left loan administrators and borrowers without guidance on how these changes will be implemented. We're also concerned that self-certification of income will result in fraudulent reporting. That's a priority for my House Oversight Committee, fraud. To date, my staff and I have not received a response from our letter. Will you commit to scheduling the requested briefing regarding the department's actions by the end of this week?
Thank you, Congressman Comer, and I do look forward to having my team continue ongoing engagement. With regard to the reporting of income, we are working to improve the system to make sure that we have the information directly from the IRS, to reduce paperwork and make sure that the information is accurate. We take the engagement with the Oversight Committee very seriously, and we want to make sure that we're responsive to any requests and act in good faith.
So can we get a briefing from the department staff on exactly how that's being implemented? Because, you know, this waste, fraud, and abuse within the whole federal government is out of control, and we try to nip it in the bud before it happens, and this looks like fraud waiting to happen here.
Thank you. We do take that issue very seriously. I agree with you that we have to be very mindful of every dollar that is being used. I'll make sure that there is a communication to your team from my team, and
Okay.
that we're responsive in our engagement with you.
Mr. Secretary, Section 117 of the Higher Education Act currently requires institutions of higher education to disclose gifts or contracts from a foreign source valued at more than $250,000. Since 1986, gifts and contracts to the U.S. Institutes of Higher Education from China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar have totaled more than $11 billion. For instance, the University of Pennsylvania, home of the infamous Penn-Biden Center for Diplomacy, where President Biden stored some of his classified documents, reported a nearly 400% increase in foreign gifts and contracts, including approximately $22 million in anonymous donations from China. Coincidentally, you recently announced the Office of Federal Student Aid would be taking over enforcement activities relating to potential Section 117 violations, an office with little to no background in such disclosures, and indicated potential violations would have a much lower level of scrutiny. What steps has the department taken to strengthen Section 117 enforcement in the transition from the Office of General Counsel to the Office of Federal Student Loan Aid?
Thank you, Congressman. We take foreign threats very seriously, and we will be responding to all the letters that we receive. We respect the protecting intellectual property here in the United States, and with regard to Section 117, we're improving reporting. By moving into FSA and building capacity, we've gotten over 34,000 public filings already. We're on pace to have the most in any other administration. We take it very seriously.
And let me say this before I would like to yield the balance of my time to the chair, but we've got a problem with our universities, according to multiple university presidents I've spoken with, that we have Chinese students that are stealing our intellectual property. They're essentially serving as spies for the Chinese Communist Party. We have certain universities that are receiving enormous anonymous gifts from the Chinese Communist Party. This is a concern for the House Oversight Committee. With that, Madam Chair, I yield the balance of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr.